Recording now. I think we've got most people in. Gracias. Excelente. Muy bien. I want to pull something up and I'll just show you guys this very briefly for those who might be interested. Linda sent this along as something to share. And I will put the link for this into the email at the end of class. There is a presentation that will be done in Mesa in May 2nd. I'm not quite sure if one needs to buy tickets for this, possibly. But sounds like it should be kind of interesting. It will be all in Spanish. And it might be kind of advanced Spanish because, you know, when you talk about archaeology and the Ice Age megafauna, I would, it is not going to be hola, ¿cómo estás? It'll be, you know, kind of higher level. But, you know, if that's something you're interested in doing, that's May 2nd. I will send along the link for that Linda sent me in the email, and it will give you all the information about it. But definitely could be of interest for some of you. Okay. Excelente. My second and last little housekeeping thing is, oh my gosh, they're doing signups for summer already. It blows my brain. I know that hurts. I know that hurts. I think you got to run it through again. But summer registration starts next week, Monday. So 1 week from today, just so you know about that, because I know, you know, especially if you're signing up kids for things like tennis or swim team, and if you don't sign up right away when they open that portal, sometimes people get bumped out of a prime time in certain classes, not in mine, but in other classes. So para que sepan, just so you know. Bien, bien, bien. Hoy vamos a practicar muchísimo con preposiciones. A big push with today's class will be prepositions again and using them. Some of the prompts you had were from the pictures I had sent, and we'll bring those up a little bit later. Some of the information you had this week was to listen to the video, and I'm going to do a little disclaimer on something that could be a little confusing from the video, or just point something out that you need to think about. And we'll hear lots of people speaking with examples, and you guys are going to speak using examples. And remember, prepositions they're a relative thing. Where something is located depends on where it is and where you are. So, you know, what is in front of one person might look like it's behind to another. So always think about, you know, position is to a certain extent somewhat relative depending on how that is spatially triangulated. Okay, a ver. What we are going to start with is a little, I don't know if I really want to call this a disclaimer. Sure, I want to call this a disclaimer. Let's pull this in. Just a little side note, not a disclaimer. It's a side note, She gave you lots and lots of things in this video. And if you did not get a chance to watch it and you don't want to admit that to people, don't worry about it. That happens. But one thing I want to point out that she said,
I will teach you everything you need to know about prepositions of place.
Prepositions of place. And so that means there are other kinds of prepositions too that talk about time, you know, time and space.
Therefore,
sounds kind of scientific.
You'll get them right every time you speak Spanish. Ready? Vamos.
And I want to get her
don't come from Mars. They're just words and phrases that provide us with specific information. In this video, we'll focus on those that relate to place and movement, also called
place and movement. So keep in mind too, movement comes into the picture as well. Okay, so prepositions can indicate movement and they can indicate a place.
Locative prepositions. Prepositions also exist in English, and you use them sin darte cuenta.
You use them without noticing, which is very true.
If you learn the chunks I'll provide you with in this video by heart,
And
as we call them at Spring Spanish, are language structures that never ever change.
Now, I do want you to understand some little tweaks with prepositions may change. So to say they never ever change isn't 100% true. And we're going to talk about why that is and what little tweaks help us with that before we listen to our examples and do our practice.
Therefore, it's easy to learn them without having to worry too much about grammar rules. So, which are the most common prepositions of place in Spanish? Look at this sentence.
Okay. And I keep trying to get the right place, but I'm not quite moving in the right place. The bad thing about prepositions is that
there are lots
of them. There is the minus. The big minus with prepositions is that it's hard to make an all-inclusive list. And if you did, it would be great, big, and long and intimidating and would start to make your brain want to explode. So the key thing to do is to, I think, do make a list of the ones that are super common and do listen for examples in how they are used, because in almost every listening video you will get, and if you listen to podcasts, which is a good practice to do, you will hear prepositions constantly. Every time you listen to something or read some little article, you will see some kind of preposition. All right, because they pop up. They are liberally sprinkled everywhere. So you need to start to notice examples of them. And just note that that little structure is how these will be used. But look at all those she's got on the screen, and that isn't even everything. So you've got dentro de, a, debajo, encima, en, cerca de, enfrente, a la derecha de. And, you know, this one, por ejemplo, enfrente, in front of, can also be expressed with the word delante, delante. And they are equivalent, delante de, okay? But, okay, remember too, another thing I want to tell you about with this is that a lot of times she's got this cerca and cerca de, and I want you to kind of focus on this little thing and like make it in your mind as if it were a little circle, a little blurb coming right out of her mouth, and it's right next to her mouth. This great big sign that says cerca de. Here is why it's like they are set words that never change. Not exactly 100% correct. So here's what's 100% correct. Cerca doesn't have a different form. Like it doesn't change to cerco or cercamos. It doesn't get conjugated, in other words, like verbs do, right? Prepositions don't get conjugated the way verbs do. But sometimes you might hear just the word cerca by itself being used. So here's where that idea of it's a word that doesn't change is off by just a little bit. You might hear somebody saying, por ejemplo, la biblioteca está cerca. The library, it's nearby. And just cerca by itself. But if I name what it's close to, because that word cerca means near or close, nearby or close. If I name what it is near to, so in other words, if I just don't say it's close, it's nearby, but it's close to something else, once I bring in that something else, that's when that little word de pops up, and it pops up a lot in these prepositional phrases. So be aware of that. A lot of these combine, and I'll show you. La biblioteca está cerca. The library is nearby. But if I want to say, The library is near the city hall. Okay. La biblioteca está cerca del ayuntamiento. If I'm naming what it is nearby, then I've got to add cerca de. I need to add that little word de. So in other words, once I'm putting actually two things, two nouns in there, not just saying it's nearby, but it's near something else. Yeah, that addition of the something else place, right? It means I need to change this from just plain old cerca, nearby, to cerca de, near the town hall. Okay. And sadly, with many of these words, you will see that whereas probably the core thing you need to know that cerca is nearby, often cerca may combine with de when I name something else. Okay. And that thing of combining many prepositions with a de sometimes happens. So notice as you listen to many more videos, because they will be liberally sprinkled around in everyday conversation, notice for how de often gets combined. So enfrente might become enfrente de. See? Okay. So la fachada del edificio, the facade of the building, está enfrente, it's in front. Well, yeah, because the facade is in front, right? But, el banco está enfrente del banco. La silla está enfrente del banco. The seat is in front of the bank. If I name, it's in front of something, and we add the something after that word in front of, then it needs to become enfrente de, right? Or delante de, right? That little phrase below enfrente says a la derecha de. It might be used as just a la derecha. Okay. La heladería está a la derecha. The ice cream store is on the right. But if it's to the right of something else, then it becomes a la derecha de. Okay. Debajo is just underneath, but debajo de, underneath something, and you name the something. Está debajo del sofá. It's underneath the sofa. Okay. So do be aware of this little hangnail de, that little hangnail word, often combines with some of these prepositions when I name yet a second item. All right, so do be aware of that. It's important. You may hear some of these prepositions by themselves, and you might hear of them combined with de. One other little thing I want to point out, because a lot of people get confused. I'm going to let her speak this little bit first.
The panda is on the book.
La panda está encima del libro. It's on top of the book. It's on the book. Encima del libro. It can't just be encima. It's encima del libro because I'm naming the thing it is on top of. So I need to combine de with encima de. But this idea of on, various words may juggle around into, you can use it to say on. It might be encima de when it really means on top of, something is set on top of something else.
The preposition de meddles once again.
Yeah, the
this
de
preposition
meddles.
is very nosy, isn't it? Be careful though. The English preposition on may also be translated as en in some.
So en may be also used to say on. Okay. Mi reloj está en la mesa. My watch is on the table. okay? To say something is on the table, it might be en la mesa, sobre la mesa, encima de la mesa. Okay? En, sobre, or encima de can all mean on. But we're going to show you one idea about the word en that is a little bit different.
Some cases. But if you say el panda está en el libro, the message
El panda está en el libro could be the panda's on the book, but it could be it's in the book. And in the book can even mean a couple of different things. You may not have thought about this very deeply.
message you will convey is that it is a character in the book.
It might indicate está en el libro, that it's a character in the book. El panda está en el libro. The panda has a part to play in the book, in the text of that book. So en might be not be talking about position as in where the panda is actually located, but it's in the book. It's a piece of information, if you will, inside of the book. And we can take it even further than that.
Or that it is a sort of taco, like that.
El panda está en el libro can mean that you see on the screen. It can mean it's a character in the book. El panda está en el libro can mean that it got sandwiched in between the pages of the book, physically, literally. So a lot of these you have to kind of get from the context of a conversation and all the things that you're talking about. So with that little word en, I wanted you to show you all the many things that might happen with in or on that can become kind of problematic. Okay? Bien. So many, many, many uses of prepositions there. Do you have any questions before we start some practice or no? Okay. Bien. Lots and lots and loads and yeah. They become.
You're muted, Cindy.
Oh,
I
but
turned that off. I have a quick question.
sí.
So, in order not to confuse in and its meaning of on or in, you have to be looking at the context of the sentence and figure that out.
Sí.
So there's no way just to know.
Well,
like
but
we're very
it's
specific with
kind of
here.
simple. Okay, por ejemplo, si Jennifer Lawrence está en la película. Jennifer Lawrence is in the movie. The context of that is super clear. She's a character in the movie. She's not standing on top of a canister of film. Yeah. So most of the time it's going to be kind of obvious, right? But it does depend on how we're using that information for sure. And yeah, context is always something you have to be paying attention to. So it's all the other words that are used in combination with that preposition word.
Okay.
And they're, you know, yeah, there may not be a magical golden goose to help you with that. You have to decode it from the other words in context. And así es, so it is. It just is. But that video did introduce you to a lot of extra palabras extras, extra words, extra prepositions, because they are legion, they are everywhere. Okay. Bien. Let's move along to some practice here. And this you had prep for. So we're going to start with the practice that you had time to think about and look at first. Okay. Si hablamos aquí de todos los tipos de comida, if we're looking at all the kinds of food, ¿sí? Que están en el refrigerador,
No,
right?
no.
There are many different kinds of prepositions you might use. You might use it, but they're relative to what else it's near, right? So, if I want to say the cheese is to the left of these, I don't even know, es lechuga, probably lettuce, yeah? Wow, bad way to keep your lettuce. That's going to get wilted fast. Okay. If we want to talk about el queso y la lechuga, el queso y la lechuga, ¿sí? ¿Cómo se dice? ¿Cómo se dice, por ejemplo, the cheese is to the left of the lettuce?
El queso está a la izquierda, la lechuga.
El queso está a la izquierda de la lechuga, ¿sí? A la izquierda de la lechuga. Bien, perfecto. Okay. But if I want to talk about the apple relative to the lechuga, right? Then, ¿cómo se dice the lettuce is to the left of the apple?
La lechuga está a la izquierda de la manzana.
De la manzana, bien. So it's all relative as to what is located where. ¿Cómo se dice the eggs are to the right of the lettuce? The eggs are to the right of the lettuce.
Los huevos está a la derecha.
Están.
Sí, los huevos están a la derecha. Están a la derecha de la lechuga. Bien, bien. Okay. So left and right are kind of specific. Just plain old next to might be al lado de. And next to doesn't really tell you left or right, does it? Next to just means it's not
Right.
far, right? It's meaning they kind of almost meet up. Okay.
Yeah. That's
So, ¿cómo se dice? How would you say the eggs are next to the apple? The eggs are next to the apple. Al lado de, which literally means to the side of. Al lado de.
los huevos están al lado de la, which one? Apples? Manzana.
De la manzana. Perfecto. Gracias. Sí. Perfecto. Perfecto. ¿Cómo se dice? The bottle is next to the eggs. The bottle is next to the eggs. La botella. La botella.
La botella, circa de, not up in here.
And that is a different preposition you can use, and it conveys the same idea. Sí. Okay. Cerca de, near. Sí.
Yeah.
La botella está cerca de los huevos. La botella está cerca de los huevos. La botella está al lado de los huevos. Okay. They're different words, but al lado de and cerca are kind of close in meaning, aren't they? And there are two separate terms in English, next to and nearby, but next to and nearby in English mean pretty close to the same thing, don't they? Okay.
Yes.
So notice sometimes, and I'm glad you brought that exact phrase cerca up. It's a good thing you brought that up. You may hear people using cerca de instead of al lado de.
Oh,
They're close in meaning. You know, when you ask for directions or where stuff is, you never know what that person's going to come back at you with. Yeah. And if they feel like using cerca de, they might sub that in, and that's okay. This is what happens in life. You know, people respond in ways that we may not anticipate. Okay, vale. Y tenemos aquí, ¿es brócoli? Creo que es brócoli. I think this is broccoli. ¿Cómo se dice the broccoli is under the cheese? The broccoli is under the cheese. Now we need an under.
Debajo.
Debajo.
Debajo. Perfecto.
Debajo.
Okay, now somebody might just use, we're going to illustrate the difference between debajo and debajo de. Ah, el brócoli está debajo. The broccoli, it's under. But if I name what it's under, now I need debajo de. ¿Cómo se dice? The broccoli's under the cheese.
Ah,
Debajo de queso. De la queso.
Está
Del-
debajo del queso. I'm naming what it's under. And now I need that little word de to sidle up to the debajo de. El queso está debajo del, or, perdón, el brócoli está debajo del queso. Está debajo del queso. ¿Sí? Bien. Bueno. So, know that they will combine. Okay. Bien. A ver. Bueno. Let's talk about la sandía, the watermelon. La sandía. La sandía, watermelon.
La sandía.
La sandía, perfecto. Sí, la sandía. La sandía. La sandía, the sandía. Ooh, it's underneath the bag. La bolsa. Tenemos una bolsa de papel. Más específico, es una bolsa de papel. We got a paper bag. That's somebody's lunch, probably, right? Una bolsa de papel. ¿Sí? ¿Cómo se dice? The watermelon is underneath the paper bag.
La sandía debajo de la bolsa de papel.
Perfecto, muy bien. La sandía está debajo de la bolsa de papel. Bien, excelente. Muy bien. Fantástico. ¿Cómo se dice? Oh. ¿Cómo se dice? The milk is in the door. It's in the door. It's on the, because it's in the shelf on the door, right? Now here, encima isn't going to work so great, right? Encima means sitting on top of. And this is actually inside the door, isn't it?
Adentro.
Me gusta. I like that. Sí. ¿Cómo se dice? Bueno, ¿cómo se dice? The milk is inside that door. Dentro is a great choice.
La leche está adentro de la puerta.
Dentro de la puerta, because the door has shelves. Yeah, it's a context thing. You just know that a door has shelves and a fridge.
Well, that would be also dentro rather than adentro, right?
Right, it would be dentro, sí, dentro, sí. I could say the milk is inside, like, okay, when would adentro or versus dentro make sense? Let's say you're carrying all your bags from your car into the house, right? You just got done with a grocery run, right? If you just want to say, somebody asks you, hey, did you bring all the food in? Sí, trajiste la comida. Did you bring the food? Sí. The food's inside. The food's inside, meaning just inside the house, is la comida está adentro. La comida está adentro. The food's inside. Don't worry about it. No te preocupes. See? Don't worry. It's not heating up in the car 110 degrees. Yeah. La comida, la comida ya está adentro. It's already inside. Bien. Okay. Pero la leche está dentro de la puerta. Está dentro de la puerta del refri. It's inside the fridge door. That's a different thing. See? Okay. ¿Cómo se dice? Let's talk about el jugo de naranja. El jugo de naranja. The orange juice is above the milk. The orange juice is above the milk. Now, it's not sitting right on top of, is it? Okay. The orange juice is not doing this. If this were orange juice, it's not on top of the milk, is it? It's not sitting, it's not settled right on top of it. Yeah. So encima de isn't going to make a lot of sense.
Arriba.
Arriba, because it's not sitting on top of it, it's above.
Above.
Ah,
La
bien.
jugo de naranja. Es
Entienden, sí, entienden la diferencia, bien? Okay. ¿Cómo se dice the orange milk is, oh, it's above the orange juice is above the milk somewhere. El jugo de naranja.
Está arriba de la leche.
De la
De.
leche. And now we need that little de to come back in. I'm naming what it's above. What it's above.
mm,
Bien, perfecto. Okay. Vale. Bien. Sí, ¿entienden? Understand?
Sí.
Everything is relative in life, yeah? Sí. Todo es relativo, bien? It's all relative. So we can talk about locations that way. Ha, 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 ha. Okay. Bien. If we talk about where all the stuff is located. See? Let's talk about la hija, the daughter, the little girl here. La hija. Somebody's kid, la hija. Let's talk about where she is. I might be talking about where she is relative to her mom. I might be talking about where she is relative to the el perro. I might be talking about where she is relative to furniture in the kitchen. Right? I could
Right.
be mixing this in many ways. Okay. Por ejemplo. So think of one preposition you could use with la hija to tell where she is.
Laika, la izquierda de Perro.
la que-
Did you use izquierda?
No, to the, oh,
derecha.
a la izquierda, yeah, a la izquierda de Perro.
Está a la izquierda del perro, sí. Ok, una pregunta independiente, an independent question. ¿La hija está cerca del perro? ¿Está cerca del perro?
Sí.
Sí.
Sí, está cerca del perro, ¿sí? Está a la izquierda del perro, bien. Vale. What else could I say about la hija? But not talk, let's take the dog, el perro, out of the equation and put in something else inside that picture.
La hija está encima de la mesa.
Esa.
Sí, está encima, a countertop, we'd probably call it el mostrador.
Mostrador.
Mostrador, yeah, is a countertop, ¿sí? Está encima del mostrador. Bien.
About la hija al lado de la mayor,
Está al lado de la mujer.
no, mujer.
La mujer, sí. Está al lado de la mujer. She's next to the woman. Está al lado de la mujer. She is right next to the woman. ¿Sí? Bien. ¿Cómo se dice? The lamps, the lights are above this little girl here. We could call her la hija. We could call her la chica.
Chica.
La chica. Let's change it to chica. Where are the lamps, the lights, las luces, las lámparas?
Arriba.
Están arriba
Arriba.
de la chica.
Yeah.
And if I
La
just
chica
say the
de la
lights
chica.
are above, it's las lámparas están arriba. Las lámparas están arriba. But if I say the lights are above the girl and I name who they're above, then it becomes, we have to add that little de in. So it becomes las lámparas
Arriba.
están
Arriba.
arriba
Yo la
de la chica.
De la
Están
chica.
arriba de la chica.
de la chica.
It would not make sense to say las lámparas están en la chica. They're not on top of the girl. Yeah. Because sometimes people say, oh, what's the difference between all these? Well, yeah. Yeah, they're not touching her. They're up there, right? So arriba makes more sense. Okay. Bien. Vale. ¿Cómo se dice? There are, we're going to need a different verb. Hay. There are 3 chairs to the left of the girl. There are 3 chairs.
Higher.
Hay
3 sillas.
Hay 3 sillas. Hay 3 sillas to the left of.
A la izquierda.
A
La
la
chica.
izquierda.
A
De
la
la
izquierda
niña.
de la chica. A la izquierda de la chica. Sí.
De la chica.
Bien, bien. ¿Cómo se dice? The sink is left to the left of the chairs.
La frigadero.
The sink. Fregadero. El
El
fregadero.
fregadero. La izquierda. De sillas.
De las sillas.
O de las sillas.
De las sillas. El fregadero está a la izquierda de las sillas. Está a la izquierda de las sillas. Bien. Vale. Bueno. Perfecto. Ok. Ok. ¿Cómo se dice? How would you say? ¿Qué más? The cabinets are near the woman, not to the right, to the left, just near the woman. The cabinets are near the woman.
Los,
Los
los,
cabinetes.
Los gabinetes.
Están cerca de la mujer. De la
Sí.
mujer.
Los gabinetes están cerca de la mujer. Or we could say, la mujer está cerca de los gabinetes. La mujer está cerca de los gabinetes. Bien. Ok. Vale. ¿Cómo se dice? The pot is on the stove. And I should put in here my stove word. Stove is la estufa. Stove.
La olla está en la estufa. Estufa.
Sí, la olla está en la estufa. La olla está en la estufa.
La
The
olla.
pot's on the stove. La olla está en la estufa. What else could I use to say the pot is on the stove if I don't want to use en? It's setting right on top of. So I could also say
Encima.
Encima.
Encima de, and we need our little de to come in if I
Mhm.
name the stove, right? See, la olla está encima de la estufa. Está encima de la estufa. La olla no está en los gabinetes. No, no, no. La olla no está en los gabinetes. La olla está encima de la estufa. Encima
Encima.
de la estufa. ¿Sí?
Le-
La olla está en la estufa. Correcto. La olla está encima de la estufa. Correcto.
estufa.
La olla está sobre la estufa. Correcto. I could use any of those three and they're all okay. Sobre, encima de, en. They all mean on top of, setting on top of. Yeah. But I would not use la olla está arriba de la estufa unless la olla is levitating. ¿Entienden? ¿Sí? Unless it's levitating, it's not going to make so much sense. Ah, entienden la diferencia. You see the difference now, right? ¿Sí?
Yeah.
Bien.
Sí.
Okay. Todo es relativo. Everything is relative. Yeah. So, sí, exacto, exacto. Okay. Vale. Bueno. ¿Cómo se dice? Let's do an underneath. The counter, el mostrador. The counter is underneath is below the lamps. It's below.
El mostrador está debajo
Debajo o abajo. Sí.
de las lámparas.
De las lámparas. Sí, perfecto, perfecto. Okay, let's talk about something with la puerta. La puerta. Let's talk about los estantes, the shelves. See, the shelves relative to the door. The shelves relative to the door. En la cocina, in this kitchen,
En la cocina,
sí,
los estantes son izquierda. Oh boy.
okay. Now, your izquierda is good, but instead of son, it'll be están.
Oh yeah, están.
Están a la
Están a la puerta.
izquierda.
Oh,
And now our little day word has to come in because I'm wanting to say,
izquierda de
and name your
la
last item.
puerta.
La puerta, sí. Los estantes están a la izquierda de la puerta. Los estantes están a la izquierda de la puerta. ¿Bien? Bien, perfecto. Perfecto. Vale. ¿Cómo se dice? The dog, el perro, the dog is far away from the stove, la estufa. The dog is far away from the stove. He's not going to mess with the stove. El perro,
Lejos.
Lejos de,
el
Está-
perro
Está
De las estufa.
no,
far away,
el perro está lejos de la estufa.
lejos de, lejos de. Lejos de is the opposite of cerca de. Cerca de, nearby, lejos de, far away from.
Lejos
Sí, el
de
perro
estufa.
está lejos de la estufa. Está
De la
lejos de la estufa. Bien,
de la
Estufa.
Okay. Bien. ¿Cómo se dice? The stove is behind the counter. Behind. We've got a behind now.
La estufa
La,
está
la estufa
Está detrás de la counter.
Sí, mostrador.
Mostrador.
El mostrador, sí. La estufa está detrás del mostrador. La estufa está detrás del mostrador. The stove is behind the countertop. La estufa está detrás del mostrador. Bien. Detrás. Detrás del mostrador. ¿Cómo se dice? The chairs are in front of the counter. El mostrador. We're going to use el mostrador again. The chairs are in front of the counter. And we need our las sillas.
Las
Las
sillas
sillas.
están al frente del mostrador.
Perfecto. Las sillas están enfrente del mostrador. Las sillas están enfrente del mostrador. You could also, instead of enfrente de, use delante de. That works okay too,
Delante.
for in front of.
Okay.
Las sillas están delante del mostrador. Está bien. But enfrente de, in front, it sounds a little bit like in front of. It's kind of cognate like, yeah. Enfrente de, in front of. Así
delante.
es. Bien. Okay. Vale. ¿Entienden? Understand? ¿Sí?
Mhm.
Sí.
Bueno, perfecto, perfecto. Okay. Uh, let's use we're going to use the first one of these. I'm going to make this a little bit. Voy a engrandecer esto sí un poquito. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay. I'm going to send you off into breakout rooms to use these, but let's use the first one together as part of a template, a demonstration of how this should work. Okay. So when you get into your breakout rooms, I want one person to read one of the questions, right? And both of you give some answers for it. And of course, this will all be relative to your own situation and what is going on and what is located near you. So they won't necessarily be able to see that from what they are, but you'll be able to tell them. So we could ask, okay, someone will ask, ¿Qué está afuera? What's outside? And this is just using afuera, outside. So it could mean outside your room. It could mean outside the house, probably outside the house, afuera. Or besides ¿qué está afuera? What's outside? It could be ¿quién está afuera? ¿Quién está afuera? See? Bien? It could be a person. If it's a person, the question is ¿quién está afuera? If it's a thing, an item, it's ¿qué está afuera? See? Okay. If somebody asks me ¿qué está afuera? ¿Qué está afuera?
Los árboles.
Los árboles están
Los
afuera.
árboles,
The
yeah.
trees are outside.
Están.
It could be
perro.
¿qué?
Mi perro.
Mi
está
perro.
afuera.
Mi perro está afuera. My dog's outside. Perfecto. ¿Qué más? What else could be outside?
Mi hijo.
Gatito.
Oh,
Mi hijo está afuera. If you got a kid who's home playing outside, yeah, sí, mi hijo está afuera. ¿Sí? ¿Bien?
Sí.
Okay. So,
Marilyn,
sí.
on that one, could you, I'm sort of like just not remembering. Could you kind of tell us again what the difference is between afuera and fuera?
Okay. Sí. Sometimes, Fuera es buena pregunta. That is a really good question. Fuera, or let's see. Afuera is outside, or it might be outdoors. Yeah, kind of depending on the situation, right? But fuera de, fuera de is outside of
Casa.
something. See? Or out of.
So
De la
does that mean
casa.
Out
fuera?
of. So let's say we went back. Let's say we went back to that refrigerator idea. If somebody took the milk out of the fridge and they set it on the countertop and they just set it there, do you one of those households where everybody puts everything back where it's supposed to be? I don't have. Yeah. Okay. So if I just want to say, hey, the milk's out of the fridge. La leche está fuera del refrigerador. Está fuera del refrigerador. It's outside the fridge.
So does fuera only occur as fuera de?
Generally, yeah, you're almost, you're probably going to have to combine that with a de. Something's outside of something else. Afuera is outside or outdoors. See? Okay.
Can I ask a question with it's with this?
See.
I think it was Spring Spanish, the girl that was doing the place and movement and so on. I have a note that she actually was telling us that they could be interchangeable.
They can be sometimes, and that's why that whole thing of saying they never change form or that, yeah, some things get juggled in a kind of a similar way. But, you know, if I just said la leche está fuera, the milk is, somebody's probably going to take that to mean the milk is outside, like I left it outside the house. Yeah. But if I want to say it's out of the fridge, it's, you know, somebody didn't put it back. Está fuera del refrigerador. Yeah. See?
She just, she let us to believe it's just shortened.
And sometimes you will hear that. Sometimes you will hear that. Yeah. Sometimes you will.
Does this logic kind of apply equally to adentro and dentro de?
It does apply. Yes, exactly the same. Sí. Eso es. That's right. Okay. So let's take a look at, son buenas preguntas. They're good questions. I want to give you some time to talk about stuff that is around you personally in smaller groups with other people. So we are focusing on not every single preposition we use, but just some of them. So, ¿qué está adentro? What's inside? What's inside? What's indoors? It could be a quién too. You know what? I'm going to actually put in a. Ooh, it popped me out of my exit marks here. You could be talking about a person too, in which case then the word would be quién. Uy. A ver. Bien. Ok. ¿Qué está adentro? ¿Quién está adentro? ¿Sí? ¿Está adentro o afuera tu mascota? Here it's talking about strictly indoors, outdoors, indoors, outdoors. ¿Está adentro o afuera tu mascota? And that's going to be an either or. Inside or outside, inside or outside. That one isn't going to take as much time. ¿Qué está encima de tu escritorio o tu mesa? What's on top of your desk or your table, wherever you are there? Sí, ¿qué está encima? What's on top of? ¿Qué está debajo de tu cama? What's under your bed? Bien, sí. We all have our little hideaway junk under the bed, don't we? Sí. ¿Qué está debajo de tu cama? ¿Qué está debajo de tu cama? Bien. Okay, so we kind of worked that number one together. So you're going to be working on the other four. Bien.
Four.
You will see those in the breakout rooms, so you don't have to scribble them down. Bien. Let's see if I can get kind of an even breakout here. Okay, perfecto. You should see a little join button. I'm gonna pop our breakout room share in there. Muy bien. Oh, and Len, you'll have to hit your little join button so you get in
Yeah,
there with
sorry,
us.
I wanted to
No, that's así es. It's just like that. It's okay. Está bien. I think you should still have a join button. Yeah, sí. Bien, perfecto. Perfecto. Creo que 5 minutos. I think this will just be a 5-minute one. Y voy a poner mi cronómetro. I'm going to set my stopwatch, my handy dandy little stopwatch here. Muy bien. Como 4 minutos. We got about 4 minutes left. They still have some time to talk. We're almost at the 1 minute mark, so I'm gonna get a little message ready to send into rooms for people. Okay. Vale. And we're going to bring people back in the 1 minute mark here. Some people may come back earlier. They have totally finished everything. Some people might need about 30 seconds or so to kind of clean up, tie up loose ends.
A question, Marilyn?
Sí, dime.
Una pregunta. If I want to say my outdoor furniture, los muebles de exterior están afuera on the patio, is it afuera en el patio?
Afuera, outside?
Afuera en el patio. If I want to say it's outside on the patio.
Oh, sí, están afuera, en el patio. Sí. You know, there'd be kind of a pause there, wouldn't there, between the two? Outside on the
Fuera
patio. Están
del patio.
sí, afuera, en el patio. Sí. Es posible combinar. Is it possible to combine some of these? Yes.
Would
So,
you say están fuera del patio? Or is that,
están fuera del patio. Fuera del patio, it's outside of the patio.
but then that would mean it's outside. I want to say outside.
That would mean
So-
that's not on the patio.
It would mean
Eh,
it's like somewhere out off it.
Sí,
Okay.
sí.
All right.
Bien. Okay.
So what is, okay, never mind.
Buenas preguntas. Yeah, good questions. Yeah, doing this kind of practice generates questions. That's a logical thing. Any other questions you have coming back? From the
Can we
CMO?
just double check a word
Sí.
under my bed? Is the word for dust polvo?
Polvo, sí. Polvo. P-O-L-V-O, polvo.
Correcto, mucho polvo.
Es Arizona.
Bueno, acabo de limpiar este fin de semana. I just cleaned this weekend. No hay polvo debajo de mi cama. No hay polvo, ¿sí?
It's probably there by now,
Oh,
again.
yeah. Yeah, give it an hour.
Give it an hour. Yeah, where we live, donde vivimos, siempre hay polvo. You know, sí, polvo is a fight that never ends where we
Sí.
live, isn't it?
Sí.
It's
Así
horrible.
es. Es horrible. Está por todas partes. It's all over the place. That's just the way that is. Sí, bien.
Everywhere.
Okay, so what I want to do now is to give you a chance to listen to somebody using some adjectives in listening comprehension. She's going to really combine stuff in different ways with a picture to give you context, because without the picture, you don't have context. And so I'm going to get it right to the starting point. Describing the picture. Bien. So let's listen to, in the context of describing a picture, how somebody uses a lot of different kinds of prepositions. And I'm putting on the subtitles in case she goes a little too fast for anybody. See, Beam? Ooh, and you know what? Let me take this off. I'm not sure I have the sound button turned down, so let's make sure that el botón para sonido, sí está. La puse, I did put it on.
Bicicleta.
Va por bicicleta.
Por la calle. Él va en bicicleta.
And even then we have a preposition, va en bicicleta. He goes on a bike. Yeah.
Marilyn,
Yeah, sí.
why isn't that por bicicleta?
It could be por bicicleta. You could plug in a different preposition instead of en, por. Por means by means of. And when we talk about transportation, you have some options in Spanish. You know, you can say, vamos por avión. We're going by plane, meaning we're using a plane as our means of transportation to get someplace. Or we can say, vamos en avión. En avión is okay. Por avión is okay. But por is specifically used with modes of transit. See, any kind of device from something low tech like bicicleta to high tech like avión. It works. Sí.
La bicicleta tiene una canasta enfrente.
It's got a basket, canasta, la bicicleta. And she's talking about this guy right here. So not this guy here in this bicicleta, este aquí, this guy here. Tiene una canasta, a basket. The basket is?
Frente.
In front.
In
Frente.
front.
Ooh.
Enfrente. And
Frente.
she's not saying in front of what, but just in front of him.
Enfrente.
Right?
It's in front.
So not enfrente de, because she's not naming what it's in front of, but he's got a basket in front of him. Okay.
La canasta tiene libros dentro.
La canasta tiene libros dentro. The basket has
Books
books
inside.
dentro. And you know what? She could have used adentro or dentro. This, Cindy, is that thing where people sometimes use either one.
Uh-huh.
Adentro or dentro would both be okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, there's a good example. So you have to get comfortable with somebody may use something slightly different. Yeah, see? Yeah, but you know, you get the idea for sure. So this is going to give you just lots of different examples. This is why we're kind of stepping
La
through this together.
bicicleta también tiene un carrito atrás.
Here's a little variation on a word you heard before in a video. La bicicleta también tiene un carrito. Carrito is a little like wagon, like a little trailer. Tiene un carrito atrás. Now you can
Behind.
see from that the atrás means
Behind.
behind. Instead of detrás, you might hear atrás. So why did she choose to use that different word? Yeah. So one thing to maybe think about or kind of keep mentally in your back hip pocket is this idea. That word tras, that truncated little snippet of a word, tras, T-R-A-S, tras, might be expressed as atrás or detrás. Detrás de is behind. Atrás is also behind. Why did she choose to use atrás? Probably because the bike is in movement and it's kind of more of a motion thing. And the motion thing is the little a attached to atrás. So just think of it that way. Yeah. It's moving behind. And just get comfortable with being uncomfortable with that. It might, somebody probably say atrás or detrás. It both means behind, right? If somebody talks about this back seat, they'll usually refer to the back seat of a car as el asiento de atrás. De atrás, the back seat. You're just going to hear it that way.
Y el carrito tiene dentro libros.
Ah, the wagon's got books inside.
Él usa un casco.
He uses the helmet
Él usa un casco para proteger su cabeza.
to protect his head.
Ella cruza la calle.
She's crossing the street.
Ella cruza la calle. Ella va en silla de ruedas. Silla
Vaya en silla de ruedas. En is a preposition.
de ruedas.
He goes in a wheelchair.
Ella pasea a su perro.
She's walking her dog.
Lo pasea con una correa.
She walks him with a leash.
¿Qué
Correa's a
está
leash.
pasando aquí?
Oh, what's happening? there?
Hay un bombero.
There's a fireman.
El bombero intenta cerrar la toma de agua.
He's trying to shut off, cerrar, it's close, with valves that operate water in your sink. They often use cerrar, you close, because it is a valve that's on or off. You open it or you close it. He's trying to shut off the hydrant.
Toma de agua.
Toma de agua is just a hydrant.
El agua está saliendo y moja a las personas.
The water
El
is
agua
going
moja
out
a
and
las
it's
personas.
getting people wet. Mojar means to get people wet or damp.
Ay, Dios mío. Las personas del restaurante ven lo que pasa.
Ah, the people in the restaurant
Ellos
see what's
ven
happening.
lo que pasa.
They see what's happening. Ven lo que pasa.
Él está en el balcón.
Ah, él está en el balcón. Balcón, balcony. Él está en el balcón. He is on the balcony. Yeah, está en el balcón. Just plain old on.
Balcón.
Balcón.
Él saluda a alguien.
He greets somebody. He's waving to
Él
somebody.
saluda a alguien. El niño también está en el balcón.
Ah, el niño está en el balcón. The kid is also on a balcony. El niño está en el balcón. She's talking about this kid up on the top, see?
El niño está sentado en el balcón.
Está sentado en el balcón. He is seated on the balcony. He is sitting down. Está
El
sentado.
niño
He's seated.
escucha música.
He's listening to music.
Él escucha música. En la tienda de helados hay muchas personas.
Ah, sí. En la tienda. In the ice cream store, and that could be called heladería, but she chose to call it la tienda de helados. En la tienda de helados, in the ice cream store.
Muchas personas.
She could have said dentro de la tienda, inside the store. She just chose to say en, right? Could have been dentro de la tienda de
El
helados.
mesero lleva nieves a los clientes.
And this little is not really the to as the preposition to. This little is the a personal. And nieves is a different way of saying ice creams. I know nieve means snow, but kind of like snow cone, maybe in English, but nieves is a word that is used in some countries to say helados. El mesero lleva nieves. The waiter brings ice creams, dishes of ice cream, see? A los clientes, to the clients, right? Whenever people receive things, it's the a personal.
El mesero lleva nieves.
He carries ice cream.
El perro
Yeah.
está ladrando.
Dog is barking.
Wow.
We don't have a
Los
preposition yet.
dueños del perro miran a su perro. Los
Owners of the dog
dueños
look at their dog.
miran a su perro.
The owners look at their dog.
Ah, ya vi por qué. El perro le ladra a un gato.
Ah, the
El
dog is
perro
barking at a
le
cat.
ladra a un gato. El gato está escondido atrás de una bicicleta.
Ah, let's look at that. El gato está escondido. The cat is hidden. Esconder is to hide. Está escondido. The cat is hidden. Atrás de una bicicleta. Atrás de una bicicleta means he's where in relationship to the bike?
Behind the bike.
Behind the bike. And I know you have detrás de is behind, but sometimes you'll hear that expressed as atrás de. So just get used to that. Yeah. We're showing this so that you can hear different people using slightly different variations of some of these preposition words. And I'll send you the link for the whole thing so you can listen again. But do turn on your subtitles in Spanish so you can follow that. Yeah. Está escondido atrás de la bicicleta. It could have been está escondido detrás de la bicicleta. Could have been that too. So atrás, detrás. Get used to it. Behind words. Yeah.
Él está escondido atrás de la bicicleta. En el semáforo, hay carros parados.
At
Hay un camión
the street light, there are cars that are stopped.
con muchas personas dentro.
And there you go, Cindy. It's that flipping between adentro and dentro. Just get used to it. Wow, it's uncomfortable, but that is what happens. Yeah. Hay un camión. There is sometimes camión might be a truck. Here, camión in Mexico is often used for buses. Yeah. Un bus, un autobús, camión. Camión is, here she's using it to talk about a bus. Hay un camión con muchas personas dentro. Right? Adentro and dentro, kind of interchangeable here. Para que sepan, so you know. Okay.
Dentro del camión hay una persona leyendo
Inside the bus, there's a person reading a
el
newspaper.
periódico. Él lee el periódico.
He's reading the paper.
Periódico, es una palabra rara. Periódico. Atrás del señor hay una pareja.
Atrás del señor, you could have said detrás del señor, same thing. Atrás del señor hay una pareja. Pareja means a pair, and here it means a couple, a married couple or engaged couple, but there's a couple. Pareja, pair. Okay? Hay una pareja.
What's the word for bird?
Bird. Pájaro. Pájaro. P-A-J-A-R-O. Pájaro. And you got to accent the first pa. Pájaro is a bird.
La pareja tiene un bebé.
The couple has a baby.
Atrás de la pareja,
Behind the couple, atrás de la pareja, it could have been detrás, it could have been detrás instead of atrás. Atrás de la pareja,
hay un cerdo.
there is a pig. Un cerdo en el camión. As that may sound, I have been on trains with pigs. Sometimes these things happen in different countries, yeah. Dogs,
Atrás
pigs,
de la pareja hay un cerdo.
There's a piggy.
Qué raro ver un cerdo dentro de un camión.
How weird to see a pig inside a bus.
En la calle hay un señor.
On the street. En la calle. Just on the street, most likely be en la calle. En la calle, on the street. Not really encima de la calle, on top of the street, just on the street, en la calle.
Señor con su hija.
There's a man with his daughter.
Ellos esperan para cruzar la calle.
They're waiting in order to cross the street. The para there is also a preposition. And we'll take a little look at a few prepositions that you're going to hear a lot. Para is one of them. Antes de is another. And después de is yet another. So we're going to take a look at some different prepositions next week, but kind of detached from what you've done before with location, not connected to the location thing. Para cruzar la calle is in order to cross the street. Esperan para cruzar. They're waiting in order to do something else. And the thing they're waiting in order to do is to cross. Yeah. Para cruzar. The para there would translate to in order to. You might say in English, they're waiting to cross the street, right? But in Spanish, it'll be esperan para cruzar. They're waiting in order to do that next thing, which is cross. Para cruzar la calle.
Ellos esperan para cruzar la calle. Al lado de la tienda de helados.
Al lado de la tienda tells you where. It's al lado de. Next to, yeah. Next to the ice cream store, next to the ice cream shop.
Al lado hay una tienda de sombreros.
There's a hat store.
Un señor sale con su sombrero nuevo.
Yeah, a man is coming out with his new hat, and con does not tell you. Con is also a preposition, with. Oh, but it doesn't really tell you much about location. We've focused on locations, so we're going to take a look at some of these other prepositions next week.
Él está feliz. Y eso fue todo.
Okay, I'll give you the links. You can listen to that again because she really kind of mixed it up and used some different words. So what I want to tell you about is sometimes prepositions don't have to do with location, like in front of, behind, next to, near, or far. Sometimes prepositions talk about things like antes de, before, or después de, after. So we're going to talk about some of those kinds of prepositions, and con, with, and para. So we're going to talk about some other kinds of prepositions that don't have to do necessarily with location, but a lot of them will have to do with time. And I don't know, they're just kind of a grab bag, let's say. Yeah. Sí, bien. Okay. Adelante. I want you to notice something. I'm going to give you this video for the upcoming week. You will hear some prepositions. This is going to be talking about directions. And whenever we have things that, whenever we talk with people about trying to find where stuff is located, whenever we ask for directions, when we're lost or we just can't find something, we don't know where it is, you will hear locations. So be on the lookout for prepositions that are sprinkled throughout this. Bien, so you'll have that to listen to again, just for lots more examples. Y también. Uy, ¿dónde está? Your other listening video will not be about prepositions per se. It will be a more general listening video. ¿Y dónde está? Momentito. Oh, sí, bien. Muy interesante. This is a brand new video, and you are going to hear a gal. She's going to have a somewhat different accent here because ella es de Argentina. She is from Argentina y es porteña. She's from Buenos Aires. Outside of Buenos Aires, you don't always get this kind of accent, but in Buenos Aires, you do hear this kind of accent. So you're going to hear her use lots of zh, and they're going to be kind of strong sounding zh. Okay, so me llamo, whereas you may say me llamo, yeah. You're going to hear lots of zh sounds, and those zh sounds means she's pronouncing a word with a double L or sometimes even a Y. Yeah. So allí over there becomes allí. So do be aware she's got that little accent mark, but she's going to talk about, ella está hablando de un viaje a Marruecos. The word you're going to hear in this video is Marruecos. Marruecos es en español Morocco. El país de Morocco se dice en español Marruecos, Marruecos. Marruecos is spelled Marruecos, Marruecos, Marruecos. See? She's going to talk about a trip to Marruecos. She's going to be talking about just stuff she saw. It's going to be full tourist thing. See? I want you to notice one thing. You're going to hear the word de come up a lot. But remember, de, notice just different uses of de, and de is a preposition, de, of or from. But notice, sometimes we use de, not attaching it to debajo de or encima de. Sometimes de means what something is made out of. So you're going to hear de. De is I'm going to say an all-purpose preposition. De pops up a lot in Spanish. De is used combined with prepositions to show location, but de also talks about what material something is made out of, and you're going to hear a lot of that in this video, so keep that in mind. De is multi-purpose. De talks about where people are from, the origin of something, right? So de is also used to show possession. So de is a very multi-purpose. It has lots and lots of jobs in Spanish. So do notice the many, many different uses of the preposition de to show ownership, to show what something is made out of, and combining it with prepositions. Es muy interesante. This is really interesting. Not really from a grammar aspect so much as from just showing you all the different stuff around that country. So it'll be just a fun video for listening comprehension. Bien. Y el otro video, the other video is much more a straight up preposition kind of thing. And next week, we're also going to see a little bit about how prepositions combine with certain kinds of verbs very frequently and how to be kind of prepared for that. And how it has little nuances, or there might be certain verbs that only work with a specific kind of preposition. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Sí. ¿Está bien? Are we good?
Sí, está bien.
Perfecto. Muy bien, muy bien. Very, very good. I haven't decided yet. There was another little video I kind of wanted to do some shadowing with you, but I may just send it as a listening comprehension thing. It goes a little bit faster, so I think I'll put that at the tail end. See? Bien? Antes de salir, before getting out of here, eso sí. I just wanted to ask real quickly before we leave, if you had any little questions about the weird little snack video you had. See, and no, 9 de 10, a 9 out of 10. Yeah, 9 de 10, a 9 out of 10. Here's de. Another way that de pops up, 9 de 10. ¿Sí? Bien. ¿Hay alguna pregunta? Any other question about this? Sí or no? No?
No.
Yeah. That was just
No.
for fun for you to get the idea. Okay. And you'll, that thing about Marruecos will be a really kind of interesting and fun video just for you to get the big idea. Okay. Todo bien. Entonces, nos vemos, ¿sí? La semana que viene. We'll see you guys next week.
Bien. Gracias.
Bien. De
Gracias.
nada, de nada. Fue un placer. It
Adiós.
was a pleasure. Sí,
Hasta
que
luego.
tengan muy
Adiós.